Hey, welcome. We're with John Miller here. Lesson number 2 with Coach John.
All right.
Hey, all right. So last time we did the Smith Mora. Are we doing the Smith Mora again?
We're going to play.
We're going to play like a real game.
Yeah, we're going to play, and we're going to do the same thing we did last time. We're going to analyze play.
Okay.
And we're going to be very practical and try to fix things as we go.
Okay,
so
sounds good. Here we go.
Whatever you normally play in a tournament.
All right.
Obviously, I'm a D4 player. Who knows E4? So Here we go.
E4. Woo. All right, so Sicilian, obviously.
This is what happened last time.
Okay.
All right.
I did practice with Lou earlier today, and I beat him, but I was down a knight, and then I took it back. So we'll make sure I don't lose a knight this time. All right. All right. All right. Everything's so far so good.
Everything's so far so good. I'm going to play.
Oh no,
the Miller line.
That is what he did before. Okay, and you said play normal.
Well, I think you should think through the game, think through the open.
Okay.
So if you're not,
we're okay so far. All right.
normal development is not a bad thing,
No,
but you're following the 4 principles of chess:
Okay.
time, space, material, and development.
Okay.
This is a good one. Take it one. This is a good argument. Tom, do this.
I really want to play A6. However, I remember last week John was like, "You don't. You're in the head." Well, actually, am I ahead in development? I'm not ahead in development, but it's like it might be a ghost move. Okay.
Tell me why you're not ahead of development.
You have 2 knights out, and I only have 1 knight out.
I have 2 knights and 2 pawns developed.
Yeah,
You have a knight and a pawn.
I do.
And the thing about it is, this is the thing that players, even at the highest levels, will neglect that will cost them the game. Is your kingside development is important because if you don't have the chance to castle, you'll most likely lose the game against an expert or better.
Okay, I remember.
So the thing that we're fixing right now is your development
Okay,
and your timing.
development and timing.
Yep. So time, space, material, and development.
Okay.
Time doesn't have to be what people think. Sometimes time in chess is just the time that you need to get your pieces out.
Yeah. And I remember last time I was really scared about E5, but because I want to play knight F6, and I think that's what I ended up doing. But if you play E5, then if I take here, I would take here so that you.
Well, let's just play it.
Okay, all right.
Let's just play it out.
Okay.
What would happen if I played E5 here?
I would.
Let's just take a look at it.
Sure. Okay. I would take your pawn.
And if I played queen takes queen? King takes, okay.
But then I'm not castle.
You're not castling.
Okay.
Queens are off the board, and I can't take the pawn.
Sure.
So now I go ahead and I start to develop this way, right? Here or here.
Okay, yeah.
So let's say here.
Okay.
Right? This makes sense because now I've given up a pawn.
Right.
Now the other move in this position would be what? What would white play here?
Maybe develop your other bishop.
How about the knight move? This is a direct threat.
That is true. Okay, so I would go back.
You would go back, okay? And then the other knight move.
This is why A6.
Well, A6 is a prophylactic. That's too early. I have an idea. What happens if you play knight to D5?
Bishop comes.
Okay, the bishop comes. Counter threat. So if I come back. Am I threatening anything? Now all of a sudden it's refuted. You still have your pawn.
I think so.
My pieces are uncoordinated.
Okay.
Start all the way over. But you'd have to think through that. You would have to, more importantly, you should be prepared for that before you play the Smith Mora at a tournament. That should be home prep. So if we go back into what we were doing before, and this is why an actual chessboard is very useful.
Okay.
Last time you played D6 and I played H3 as a prophylactic.
You did it. It's true. Now, if you play there.
There's no difference in the position except you haven't played D6.
You're right. Yeah. I played D6 the first time, right?
I mean, D6 is fine.
Okay.
You're developing toward the center. There we go. Now you are focused on kingside development. We already know that pawn push may not be the best move. We didn't even look at what happens after knight takes pawn.
Right, we didn't.
Because generally you want pieces to come off as you win material.
Mm.
Here's an aggressive move. Attacking the weakest square on the board at the start of the game. What's your goal right now?
Development.
And castle.
Castle.
As long as you can castle safely.
Right. The problem is, and I'm still not 100% sure of when A6 should
I
happen.
mean, why are you even thinking about A6? Right now you're thinking about the center and castle.
I know, but
So A6 is not in our radar.
I
A6
lost really bad to A6, and I don't know the line where I lost to A6.
You lost to A6 or you lost,
I lost
to
to
a
not
knight
playing.
B5?
Yeah.
Well, there's lots of positions where you should play A6 to prevent knight to B5. This is not necessarily one of them.
But I don't know when it is the right one.
But right now we're not focused on that. Right now we're focused on development, and you may never get to the position where you have to worry about it if you develop properly,
Okay.
because then your king's not going to be in a skewer or a fork. So what's your next move to complete your development? What piece are you trying to develop right now?
So I would go maybe here.
Okay. And again, we talked about what happens after competition. No, I'm not worried about it. I'm going to castle because if you haven't noticed, for my pawn, what I've gotten is a lead in development.
Yeah.
What does this move do?
It puts pressure on the D pawn.
What is this file called? This is
The D
it's
file.
a semi-open file. Remember last time we talked about open? Okay, semi-open file. So I'm attacking on the semi-open file with the rook. Looks like open files. So the semi-open file is another way. And I'm threatening to open the file with pawn push, right?
Right.
So this is a good move. Is it a winning move? No. But at the same time, it's a threat. The threat is really strong because of that piece. Okay, so this is normal. So now you have to be aware that I can play this.
I did that one last time.
And then what would happen if I played this? Where would you put your queen most likely? Just time, space, material, and development. You're trying to hold on to material here, so you would keep the defender on the material.
Yeah.
You would move back into the pin.
And you want to go here because you want to keep pressure on it.
And now, unless something wacky happens, obviously knight takes is impossible because of bishop takes, and then pawn push doesn't work because of knight takes, and you've got 3 on it versus okay. So counting's the first part of material and chess. Now, what's going to happen is, let's say your opponent decides to play a development move, right? So now you've got 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. You're threatening pawn push, right? Taking. But you can always do this. So let's say your opponent goes here.
Okay.
Now all of a sudden,
Yeah.
A6 comes with time,
Yeah.
and the knight has to do something.
Yeah.
And that means that you gain time, and you played A6 correctly versus just playing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's important to understand. So we're not in this position. This is not happening.
Okay.
This is going to be a situation where
We did do this line last time.
we're here,
though.
yes, but then I play this move in this position most of the time.
Okay.
And you can do that, yeah. There's nothing wrong with that move. But then that leads to me attacking a different way. Why would I do that? Well, this is the key square for me now. And it's challenged by the knight. I'm simply going to take the knight off and play here and have a dominant knight and I'll have something for my pawn. This is all happening before I've got my rook over. As soon as my rook comes over, guess what? I'll complete my development. You're still
Yeah,
3
bishop.
moves away.
Truth.
You played the classic e5 in the Sicilian. You castle. What haven't you done? You haven't got your bishop out. You haven't brought your rooks to center. So what do you need to do?
Get my bishop out.
A lot of players will play bishop e6 here, which leads to bishop takes, pawn takes, queen c4 with a threat.
But it does prevent your knight from coming to d5.
It does. It doesn't stop my knight from going to b5. It also creates weaknesses. It also creates a threat for you on the f5 that has to be kept. It has to be watched.
So you don't, because, okay, so here, take, here.
Let's just bring your rook to center. Let's try. Let's consider the fact that bishop takes pawn is a possible move,
Okay.
and then king takes, and then queen up, and then it'd be bishop e6 with tempo, and there's no knight for it. Bishop takes would lead to a pawn or bishop takes, and there's no knight for it. So that means that this is possible.
That's better than this move.
Well,
Because what if like I could go like this now?
that's true. The difference is something that you would check with an engine. But the reason why I put it there was because I wanted to overprotect d6. Does that mean it's correct? No. You're probably right. Rook to e8 is likely correct. Now remember, rook to e8 leads to other problems, which means that this is sensitive to the idea of a fork.
Sure.
Which means if the knight's here, the threat is real. Now, typically in these positions, what are you trying to do? You're trying to push d5. So if you get more pieces on that square, and you push d5, then you're probably better, or at least equal. So you've got bishop takes, knight to d5. So let's look at that. Takes, knight d5. And all of a sudden you're wondering, well, if I had played rook to e8, I could have played queen to d8 here, and I'd have been much better off. So let's look at it with the rook down here.
Yeah. Because then it still would protect this pawn. That could you take here?
Sure. Let's try this.
Okay.
Now remember, every move has a consequence, right? So, takes, queen takes, not so bad, right? Bishop back, pawn to b5, bishop back, not so bad. Obviously, you're getting your pawns work here.
Yeah.
So somewhere this is not theory. So this is what's interesting. At some point, you have to say, hey, I'm going to play the Sicilian. I'm going to learn either to check this with an engine or placement or theory. The difference is now instead of you getting to the point where you're not castling or you're not developing correctly, you're developing correctly. So we're going to try something a little different this time. We're going to prevent your first.
All right.
Okay. Now, again, if you're going to play something like the Dutch, you should be informed, right? So, a lot of players don't know the Dutch very well. Let's start with this.
Wait. Okay.
Let's go here.
Okay. Yes.
Have you seen this before?
I've seen a lot of stuff, and I would say most of the time I don't entirely know what I'm doing. So the Dutch is something I the next tournament I'm playing in would need to spend more time studying.
Oh. So this is the Hopton game. This is the start of the Hopton game.
Oh, Peter played something against me in the Dutch and was destroying me. I don't know if it was this, but it might have been a gambit. I think it was.
So it's probably
It
the
was-
Staunton game.
It was a Staunton gambit. It was really bad.
So if you're going to play the Dutch, you have to know both. You can't play these things before you know.
I don't know. So yeah.
So
Okay.
so what's the next move for you?
Well,
I played H3.
I played this.
Okay, so you played there, and then I played this, right?
Yeah, right.
That's the next move in the,
That's
in
the
the
next
Hopton gambit.
move. I see. And I don't know. When I played Peter, I took the pawn, and I was not supposed to take the pawn. And this is a different gambit, but there's something's telling me there's something.
So typically in
Yeah.
gambits, the theory is that you take the gambit and then you give the material back at the right time to get the time back you need to complete your development, and then hopefully get it back with interest or be safe, right?
Okay.
And to understand that, you go back to really romantic chess. You go back to this type of theory. What's this called? Depending on what happens, it's either a Gordon gambit or a Danish gambit. Knight takes will be a Gordon gambit or in a Danish gambit. And I know you've seen me play this before, but understanding this is more important. So this is where the whole dogmatic Steinitz thing happened. You know, you had the whole match between Zukertort and Steinitz, and Zukertort was crushing them. But Steinitz's dogmatic theory and principle of play, you got to give the material back. This goes back to the romantic period of chess, being crushed by the dogmatic period that stepped in. And now you start developing. You gave back a pawn.
Okay.
It's 3-2. So you're still up.
Yeah.
Every Russian schoolboy knows this.
Mhm.
There's your temporary queen sack in the Mises selective variation of the Danish.
Okay. Bishop check.
Get your piece back, you have to block with the queen.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So there you go. You're in a Mises selective variation of the Danish gambit. And the theory that goes back to a lot of Russians studying this stuff is that your 3-1 on the queen side
Okay.
is faster and better than your 4-2 on the king side because it's further away from the king. So you continue. They continue, right?
Yeah.
So I think it was Black's move there, but either way, we got knight here.
Okay.
And this is where so many strong players get greedy and they make the mistake of playing knight takes pawn. And the question becomes, if they play knight takes pawn, what is the refutation? And even if you play the refutation,
We're gonna put it now.
that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. Knight take pawn.
So knight takes pawn, and now you have an intermezzo that is winning. What is defending that knight?
The rook.
How do you separate the rook from the knight?
You play a piece in front of the play piece here.
What pieces can go there?
Well, so the knight and the bishop.
Which piece can go with tempo?
The knight.
Play the
It
knight.
is check.
All right.
Okay.
So many players make the mistake of moving the king. There's only one move here to stay in the game. That's rook takes knight. If the king moves,
Then you take the knight.
you take the knight. And let's say they get clever and they decide they want to play something like, oh, I don't know, knight up. With the idea of knight takes, rook takes, check. Now, how do you keep your piece? What can defend the piece?
Pawn.
Play the pawn up. Now you're just up a piece. So if they played correctly, rook takes, they at least have a chance.
Yeah.
But most players don't because they say, oh, they panic. They're like, okay. First of all, they already fell for the opening trap.
Yeah.
They didn't understand what was going on. Understanding the idea of getting back material is fine. But understanding principles of opening play is more important. So let's go back
Okay.
one more time.
Hey, Dumbozo, welcome to the stream. We're with John doing a lesson.
Hello.
Okay.
The goal is to make it out of the opening without losing material and completing your development.
Okay.
So, I'm going to turn it back around. So we're working on your Sicilian. We're going to have to work on some other things at some point.
Yeah, it does.
But it's an important thing about principle. So, yeah. There we go. That works.
It says last time was English. What is today? It wasn't. Was it the English, or we were talking about the English?
No, it was mostly the Sicilian.
It was mostly Sicilian, although English was. But we're doing the Smith-Morra Gambit, or we were.
Today we've done a little bit of Danish. We've done a little bit of Dutch. We've done a little bit of Sicilian, and we've done the Smith-Morra. And now all of a sudden I played my here.
Oh yeah, I like this one. Okay,
Sure.
cool.
Now a lot of theory goes into the pros like C3 theory.
Somebody played that against me recently.
Yes, and there's a lot of theory behind that, but we're going to stick with what used to be mainline theory going back to modern chess, not the not the computer era. So this has all been played before, right?
True.
And when you get to a bishop e3 move, now, see, this is where you should have this memorized exactly.
Yes.
So this
you didn't
is
play F3. Okay. Yeah.
exactly. I didn't play F3, but that doesn't mean I'm not in theory.
Okay. I really want to play H6.
What would happen if you played Queen B6 here?
Queen B6. Queen B6.
Go ahead and play Queen B6.
Okay.
What would happen if they played Knight takes Knight?
Like here.
Yeah.
I go here.
Well, what is that?
Checkmate.
Okay. So now we're understanding the position, right? So were you aware of that trap?
No.
Okay. And so this is why we're doing the lesson.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So now we're in a position where Queen B6 has been played, and this move is no longer possible.
Okay. And I have two things attacking the knight here.
So what do I do?
Probably defend the knight.
What?
The other knight? Well,
Yeah. Can I do it without consequences? No. So this is why opening principle, opening theory matters.
okay. Like, well, what if? Yeah, I mean,
Who's better? Who
Wow.
stands better? So you've got some development, but the threat on the weakest square on the board
Yeah.
is starting to play out.
oh, what if you attack my knight?
Sure, it's a counterattack.
Yeah. And then I just take that pawn.
You like it? Obviously, black is better. Now, you play this safe for a long time. You understand why knight to g4 is better. It also applies to the King's Indian, and this is Bronstein's legacy of being able to play this knight move here
Yeah.
to attack the bishop on
bishop,
e3,
yeah.
right? So in the King's Indian, Bronstein bringing back the King's Indian theory becomes a major weapon. And you have all these Indian prodigies come through. Fischer, Kasparov, all of them playing the King's Indian. Now Nakamura with his King's Indian. It's brilliant. Understanding knight g4 is brilliant, but you also have to understand why queen b6 is so powerful.
Yeah.
Right? You can't take because of check. You can't retreat because of knight takes. You can't. There's a lot of things that happen there. All of a sudden, you're understanding openings and chess don't work the way you think they do. Why was it that black gained so much time without developing the minor pieces and working toward castling? It's because the threats were major.
Yeah.
You don't always have to get a piece in play to work on development or to gain time.
Yeah.
You can also make threats.
Yeah.
So again, time, space, material development. Here, the threat gains you time. You're trying to win material.
Yeah.
Understanding principles of play and how the principles trade is more important than even memorizing all the theory. But if you play the Sicilian, you have to memorize the theory behind IG4 and all of this and understand why it is that I know about Queen D6 and I haven't played the Sicilian in years. And that's because I did play the Sicilian. I do understand
Yeah.
theory. I can apply the principles. I can find this over the board on my own, but at the same time, I should have enough experience. And if I'm playing the Sicilian, I should be looked up enough that as soon as I see this position, I should say, hey, what about Queen D6?
Yeah.
Now I have to go back and double check it with an engine. It may not be as good as we think.
Yeah.
But right now, it looks pretty
It looks
good.
pretty good.
And this is where this lesson ends, because now we've covered some major information here.
Yeah.
You understand time, space, material development. You
Yeah.
understand that you can gain development
Yeah.
by gaining time with a thread. You also know that you have a lot more to memorize. You have the Hopton gamut to work on. You have Sicilian theory to work on. You have Smith-Morrow theory to work on. You have Staunton gamut theory to work on. Because we didn't get into Staunton gamut with E4.
The Staunton gambit, was that for the Dutch though?
Yes.
Yeah, E4, and then if you take the pawn, it's ugly.
And
It's
there's a
bad.
reason why I know that theory too. So you have to know theory. You have to understand the principles behind it.
Yeah.
It's more important to understand the principles, but you also have to memorize them.
That's true. Okay, good. All right, thank you, John. We'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks for joining. And Dumbozo, you can distract us all you want. See you next time. Bye.
Next